When you said you would fully finish the whole sweater before you started a new one, when you still have several plants you need to repot, and it hasn't happened in several weeks, and you'd like to get the dining table back so you can do puzzles. When you're disappointed with what you tried to grow and the peas have been getting a disease and being eaten by bugs, and nothing really works out, nothing grows as well, nothing produces as well as you want it to. When you still haven't cleaned the bookshelf and completely emptied it out because you want to sell it, and nothing has happened for weeks. When you're so eagerly and desperately looking for a house that you have been collecting a ton of boxes, and yet there's no new house, and the boxes have just been piling up. I don't think dealing with disappointment is ever easy, or at least not in my opinion. An experience, I guess. There are a lot of things that can make you disappointed, like politicians, the cost of, well, everything these days, not doing the things you said you wanted to and intended to and were going to, basically shooting all over yourself, could be disappointing. And how to deal with it? Well, I guess that depends on what kind of person you are, what time of day it is, how do you feel that day, and a ton of different factors. And there are, in my opinion, there seem to be like some more there seem to be some ways that are more popular, I guess you could say, at least in my opinion, than other ways to deal with disappointment. One is just to deny it all, pretend it didn't happen, or basically bury your head in the sand. And, well, I've tried that many times. It generally don't work out because at some point you will have to face the facts and deal with it. It's not easy, it's not pretty, it's not fun, but it needs to get done. But the bury your head in the sand, yeah, it's very pleasant in the beginning when you don't have to deal with all the disappointment. And then you have the people that says, oh, you just gotta pull yourself up and just do the thing. Well, for some disappointments, that works. For others, well, not so much. And there are different disappointments. I mean, some you can do something about, like the sweater. I've started now. No, I started knitting a new one too. And some you can't do anything about. I can't make a house magically appear on the market so I could buy it, for instance. I can, however, take charge and clean my bookshelf so I can actually sell it. That is something that I can do. I just, currently I'm way too obsessed with knitting. That happens. But there are different types of disappointments. Things that you can't do anything about because it's outside your control, and those you just have to learn to accept them, to understand that you can't actually change them, but you can change how you consider them or see them or think about them or feel about them. That you can change. And then you have the disappointments that you, well, can learn from, like my plants. Part of the reason my plants have been getting sick and diseased and, not producing well is, well, it has been disappointing, but I also know what I can do about it. I could make sure to water it more properly and take better care of it. So that's a learning experience. And I kind of knew it, but I have had a lot to do and I have been absolutely exhausted, and sometimes you just can't do everything, even though no matter how much you want it. So you have to learn to accept that too. Disappointments sometimes come from not being able to do everything, even though you really want to. But sometimes that's just not possible. So you got the way of digging your head in the sand or just pulling yourself together and do the thing. And I've come to realize that there is one more way, at least I deal with disappointment. And that is to accept the whole thing. To accept the disappointment. And kind of not wallow in it, but yeah, accept it and kind of sit with it and live with that feeling of disappointment for a bit. And then do something about it. And in that period of sitting with it, you might have figured out different solutions that you might not have thought about before. And sometimes that could be a good thing. I don't like when I knit, doing the threads and finishing up is a part of it that I really don't like. I love this. Doing this, not so much. So you gotta find a way around the things you don't want to do. You gotta figure out how to make your disappointment work for you, I guess. And give yourself small rewards. And just sometimes you just gotta accept how life is. And sometimes you can work on changing it. You gotta remember though, you don't control other people. You don't decide what they do. You can only choose what you do and be in charge of your own life. So if other people disappoint you, well, you gotta change your mindset or sometimes cut them out of your life. And sometimes you can tell them that they're disappointing you and that might help them change. But it's got to be something that they want. You can't change other people. You can only change yourself. And I think that's an important thing to remember when you're disappointed in different things. Whether it be yourself or others, that you can change yourself and your own thought pattern. You can't change others, but you can change what you think about them, how you think about them. So there is that. Those are the ways that I deal with disappointment. Sometimes I dig my head in the sand and pretend it's not happening. That one pretty much always comes back to bite me in the ass. So I try to not do that one as much anymore because, I don't like it when disappointment bites me in the ass. It's very uncomfortable. I don't like it. Sometimes it happens, but I try to avoid that one. The one would just pull myself together and just do the thing. That is so hard sometimes. So even though I would like to be the person that does that, yeah, that generally don't work for me, or I generally don't do it. I don't know how to do that one. I would like to know, but I don't know. So I generally go with option number 3. I feel disappointed, and then I accept whatever it is, the disappointment, and then I start trying to figure out, okay, what can I do about it? How can I do it? And sometimes, why am I disappointed? Because sometimes figuring out the why helps you with the doing and the how to figuring it out. and making it happen. At least, that's my opinion. I don't know if you noticed, but sometimes I have a lot of opinions, and disappointment is one of the things I don't like dealing with, but we all have disappointments in our lives at some point. Some more than others, I guess. So you have to figure out a way to deal with it. Because if you don't, well, you're gonna have a problem, a big problem, for the rest of your life. So figure out how it works for you to deal with disappointment. I have started to figure out how dealing with disappointment works for me. So I hope you figure out for yourself how to deal with it. It'll probably help you. I hope. It is occasionally at least helping me. So I hope you figure out how to deal with your disappointment, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!